Sam Fisher has been out of action for years now, but if Splinter Cell Conviction proves anything, it's that Ubisoft still is a dog in the stealth game fight. With a fresh approach to predatory prowling that's bolstered by the trappings of the third echelon, Fisher's homecoming is one to remember.
No more playing around.
Sam Fisher you knew is dead. America killed him, asked him to make one sacrifice too many, cross one line too far.
From the get-go, Conviction lays down the theme of betrayal thick. You learn early on that Fisher's story will take you to some harrowing places, though, of course, it's presented in a manner that keeps you guessing the whole way through. Splinter Cell veterans will know the lay of the land and be reacquainted with some familiar faces. Anna Grimm's daughter plays a big role, but newcomers, frankly, will be lost. Thank goodness for the game's foolproof waypoint system.
Andrew Coben, were you saying something about my daughter?
Top-notch voice acting and some clever graphical techniques work in tandem to deliver the story well. The film projector effect employed in many of the flashbacks does a good job of keeping the tangents in a non-intrusive context, though they can sometimes feel a bit heavy-handed. But if you've been with the series a long time, rest assured Conviction is a gripping new chapter in the Splinter Cell saga, one that brings home the dizzying machinations of an alphabet soup of top-secret government agencies to a more personal place for Fisher. And yes, questions are answered.
Grimm, let me remind you, I'm out of the game.
Moreover, the co-op campaign story, which serves as an epilogue to Fisher's tale, is a real treat, with a truly shocking conclusion.
It's over, Bykov. You're done, understand?
While Splinter Cell Conviction does certainly involve a lot of sneaking around, you'll feel more empowered than ever when your cover is blown. In setup, it's just about what you'd expect. You'll prowl through a gang of scenarios spread across 11 distinct environments, ranging from war-torn sites of Fisher's past to some of America's most hallowed halls of power. Conviction is about more than mere infiltration, though. More often than not, your primary task, above and beyond your actual mission objective, is to take out everyone who can do you harm, and in doing so, make as little noise as possible. Bringing to mind Arkham Asylum, every room is a puzzle to solve, and you do so by clearing it of enemies, or at least eliminating enough of them so as to be able to slink into the next checkpoint unmolested. And just like Batman, Fisher won't hold up under heavy gunfire. Luckily, he's also got plenty of tools that diminish the need for direct confrontation. Through a combination of sonar goggles, which allow you to mark enemies through obstacles and track their locations as they patrol, and a handful of gadgets pulled straight from the third echelon's armory, you're able to emerge unscathed from any pinch, given patience and careful consideration. A large part of the fun in Conviction is figuring out which precise combination of gadget and subterfuge will allow you to most effectively win the day. It actually manages to make the trial and error inherent to this sort of approach feel quite gratifying a lot of the time.
Black Arrow's supposed to have this sector locked.
Fuck me!
Behind the scenes, there's an in-game achievement system that rewards you for acts of stealth and bravado with upgrade points you can apply to weapons and gadgets throughout all the game's modes. Weapons can be tricked out, often giving them entirely new features like scopes and suppressors, and gadgets can have their areas of effect increased. All told, you'll spend around 8 to 10 hours in the single-player campaign. Once you're done, there's a separate co-op campaign to play through, taking place across 4 unique environments, which will last you another 4 to 6. Far from being a rehashed throwaway, the co-op game feels like a coherent companion to the single-player, with its own story, characters, and an endgame that you won't soon forget.
You don't know who you're fucking with, you hear me? You're a dead man!
A few standalone challenge-type modes round out the package. These deniable ops missions, as they're called, can be played solo or cooperatively and work under familiar rules. In Last Stand, for instance, you have to defend a vulnerable EMP device from waves of AI attackers, while in Face Off, you have to take out a player-controlled spy whilst evading computer-controlled enemies. Though it can sustain a more muscular playstyle than some other stealth games, rolling through guns blazing doesn't often yield good results in Splinter Cell Conviction. Yes, you'll do plenty of killing, but you have to do it on the game's terms. This becomes second nature once you get a handle on the game's mechanics. At the crux of the game is the mark and execute system. After you dispatch an enemy in a handful of specific ways, most commonly a straight-up stealth kill, you'll gain the ability to mark a number of targets on your HUD and systematically dispatch them at your leisure. This isn't limited to enemies. You can mark environmental objects like chandeliers or oil drums to create deadly booby traps. With time, you start to view the capability to execute as too precious to squander. Depending on what weapon you're holding, you'll be able to mark differing numbers of targets, and it's very tempting to hoard your free kills until all your marks are in clear view to execute, though the game fudges a little bit for you in cases where a target goes behind cover after you've initiated an execution. The system succeeds in